distant, cold-hearted, not want to be in relationships. These are some characteristics of an avoidant attachment style. But how do they become avoidant? So we're going to talk about the childhood and what produces an avoidant attachment style. This is Joshua Ward with He Changed Me, and we will talk about it after the intro. See you in a bit. Welcome back, YouTube fam. So this is going to be a part 3 series on attachment styles. Now, attachment styles is just a part of the attachment theory when you have 1 secure and then 3 insecure attachments right here. And so what happens is, depending on your relationship with your caregiver, it depicts what type of relationships you have in the future. And a lot of the questions that we ask are, can I trust you? Can you come through when I need you? Are you going to be reliable and take care of me? But the great thing about attachment theory is, if you do have one of these insecure attachments, it doesn't mean you're stuck that way, and you can always work on being secure. So, but let me tell you a bit about my channel. We do relationships. I'm a single dad. That's who I am, what I'm about. We do personal growth, and today's topic we're gonna do is attachment theory. And more so, the avoidant attachment is where we are in the series. And understanding that these people who are maybe seen as distant and lone wolves maybe have rationale why they are, and let's find out ways of how to fix it. But let's go into it. Avoidant child's risk factors. It is to note that parents did not neglect their children's needs overall in general. They just were neglectful to the emotional needs that were there, because they were usually present in that child's life. Which leads into the first risk factor, which is going to be strict emotional distancing. And so in these situations, the parent just really avoided any type of intimacy, any type of emotion, which made them miss a tune with their child's needs. And when a child did come up to the parent and say, hey, I needed comfort, I needed reassurance, the adult was like, this is an awkward, pat you on the head, go do it, because I'm not used to this, And the stronger the need for the child's comfort and reassurance, it can push the adult to be even unavailable completely. Which leads into the second risk factor, which can be even more intense, where they didn't tolerate any emotions or feelings. You see this a lot with athletes and men in general going up. Men don't cry, and why you suck it up, man? What's wrong with you? And so it teaches the individual, I can't talk about my emotions or what's going on, so I need to just figure things out on my own. And so that can also lead into number 4, which is gonna be stir. It's gonna be, they want them to expect them to be serious, they expect them to be tough, they expect them to be independent, and they expect them to be reserved, all right? That's what an adult avoidant individual, parents, would do to expect of their children. And it's sad because they were producing an environment that was their environment growing up as children. So it's a cycle that continues going on. And the reason why I understand this, because I was that avoidant. I was like, toughen up my daughter and do all this stuff like that. But I started realizing that that wasn't healthy overall. And finding some balance was going to be so much better for my daughter. Now let's talk about the avoidant adult. And they have about 4 major characteristics. Number 1, they are self-confident and self-sufficient. And they do that by building a self-esteem that is developed and built on their own self-worth. They develop their own self-worth. They do all these accolades and skills, and that by doing that, the world sees them and they get this self-esteem built from their accolades and approval from the outside world. Number 2, they're social, easygoing. They may have a lot of friends, also may have a lot of sexual partners, but they lack very few or very at all deep emotional connections and relationships with people. Number 3, they're considered as the lone wolf. Oh, all right. They're just independent. They get things done, but they don't need anybody. But it puts them in situations when they do need somebody, they have no support or reassurance. And then number 4, they lack emotional intimacy and sometimes even physical intimacy, which can hurt them really building that connection. Now, there's 2 forms of intimacy. There's emotional intimacy and also emotional closeness. Let's talk about that. Emotional intimacy, ability to share thoughts, feelings openly. They feel supported and reassured, feeling heard, appreciated, and valued, and inadvertently feeling an overall sense of calm and safe in their environment. Emotional closeness can provide a feeling of stability, that we're all not going through life alone. They have somebody to rely on. Feeling safe and valued by others enables them to maintain higher self-esteem and a positive outlook on life. As you see, we need emotional intimacy and emotional closeness. We need these things to feel connected with the people around us, to make us feel we're not alone in life. So how do you resolve this, right? You resolve this by increasing your awareness of emotional intimacy. I know it maybe sounds scary, but realizing that it needs to be turned on is the first step. And so, okay, emotional intimacy is not bad. I may not have been modeled it, but over time I can understand it, which will produce number 2, which is going to be emotions and feelings are not bad. They actually are a part of life, and there are signals about what's going on. I have this wheel, which I've used in other videos, and it really gives you a good understanding of the importance of emotions and feelings. In the inner circle, it talks about the major feelings: happy, sad, mad. But most avoidants stop there. But if you actually sit in that feeling, you can start to get to the feelings that are associated with it. And now you have a more specific way of why you're happy. So now you can replicate that more. And you also understand why you are mad. So now you can pinpoint what the problem really is to actually address it properly. So I have a great video called Emotions, the Gateway to Your Belief System. And it really gives you a tool to understand what your core beliefs are based on looking at your emotions and looking back, which can help not just one situation, but it could be transferable to other situations based on that same belief pattern. And so understanding what's going to happen is once you do start to understand beliefs, and I use this all the time. I use this wheel like once a day, once every day, because I'm an avoidant person. So sometimes I have to sit in the emotions longer than I'm really comfortable doing, but it's so much better because I get to the results faster when I do this. But what happens is you sometimes will start to feel like, man, I'm becoming anxious. No, you're just becoming normal. You're just so far on the left side, the avoidant, that any type of feelings, you feel like you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, which you are, but now you're actually going to more of a balance. Now, you may push more anxious, but you'll find that balance over time once you start to really understand the will, because your logical mind is not going to let you go too far to the anxious side. And then lastly, just have support. Have friends, family, loved ones. Have these guys there as a backbone to help you understand, because in a support group, if the person's trying to do better and they're aware of it, support them on that journey if they really are working on themselves, if you're able to. So final thoughts are that insecure child can happen a lot of times of some type of neglect, but for the avoidant specifically, it has to do with the emotional neglect, which doesn't teach them how to understand their emotions and to express their emotions. And a lot of times they feel they're alone and they're hard to even explain what's going on in their lives. But this will give you at least the background of what happens in the childhood. So if you are a parent and you're doing some of these things, maybe reconsider some of your tactics, but also you can start looking at, man, I was in this environment also, and realize that this is usually passed on generation by generation by generation. Guys, please, if you like the content, please like and subscribe. I also have a little logo somewhere at the bottom here that you can click and subscribe really easily. I appreciate it. And as I end all these video conference calls, content I meant to say, is that if you have a child, slow down and give them a hug. Sometimes we forget when was the last time we did that. And also tell your kid that they're worthy regardless of what the environment is. Just because you're my kid, you were meant to be born, and I love you. They need to hear that, not just once, they should hear that all the time. But until next time, thank you for coming. I'll see you in my next video.